Hi, this is Jill from Humu Yoga, and this is the full practice. This week, we're working with the theme of aging. So I'm going to go ahead and take us through a quiet centering, and then I'll go through some inspirational quotes on aging, and then I'll go ahead and weave this into the practice today. So we'll go ahead and get started. So take the hands down by the sides, close the eyes, and connect. We're going to connect to the inner locks or bandhas. So just start to notice your pelvic floor, all the muscles you're sitting on, and engage them. And then we call that Mula Bandha. It means root lock. And then above that, below the belly button, draw the belly in and get a sense of lifting upward. We call that Uddiyana Bandha, or flying upward. And then at the top of the spine, go ahead and draw the chin down. We call that Jalandhara Bandha, or chin lock, and it seals in the energy of the bandhas so that now we're totally supported from the inside. And now you can release your hands. And then just focus, we'll begin to focus on the breath, but keeping the bandhas engaged. So we're gonna breathe into the rib cage. As you inhale, feel the rib cage expand. And then as you exhale, feel the rib cage relax. Inhaling, the rib cage expands. Exhale, the rib cage relaxes. One more conscious breath, inhaling and exhaling. And then we'll take the hands together at heart center and we'll vibrate together with the mantra Om, and then I'll go through the quotes. Inhale. Do not grow old, no matter how long you live. Never cease to stand like curious children before the great mystery into which we were born. Aging is not lost youth, but a new stage of opportunity and strength. With age comes wisdom. With wisdom comes connection. With connection comes peace. The longer I live, the more beautiful life becomes. Yoga teaches us to embrace every stage of life with grace, strength, and presence. Aging is simply another pose to hold with awareness. Aging. This is a really appropriate theme for me this week because I just turned 63. And if I reflect back on my yoga practice all these years, I really love where I'm at because the practice feels so full because I'm not just racing to try and do the trickiest asana, but rather I'm trying to get the most out of my practice. And it just feels like a deeper practice. So let's go ahead and get started. And today we're going to focus on shoulders and hips. And when the shoulders are in the right place, they can be so functional and work for us. And when we open the hips, the same thing. We can get a lot of strength and stability. So if this is something you like, please subscribe because I do a different theme and we focus on different body parts every week. So let's go ahead and come to our hands and knees. So on the hands and knees and the cat-cow pose, you can really focus on what the shoulders are doing. I want you to round the back, and we call this protraction, where the shoulder blades widen across the back. And we're not sinking, right? We're rounding. The belly is in, and the pelvis or the hips are tilting under. So rounding the back, and now inhale, come forward. Now focus on the shoulder blades, drawing down and back, and maybe a little closer together, but lift the sternum and the low back arches. And then one more time, go ahead and round the spine and feel the protraction or the shoulder blades drawing away from each other, the belly really lifting, so we're really connected to bandhas. And then inhale, coming forward, shoulders drawing down the back, lifting the sternum, and then come to neutral. And then from here, let's take it to downward facing dog. So tucking the toes under and reaching back. At first, it's okay to bend the knees, especially if this is your first down dog. You might want to bend the knees so that you get the upper back really lengthened, right? You don't want to be here. So see if you can find that. Then maybe you can start to straighten. Maybe you want to play around with that bending. Now, the shoulders, think about the shoulder blades rolling away from your ears as you reach. So they're elevated, but they're rolling away from your ears. If you really focus on the shoulder blades in the back, you can feel that and reach. And now slowly begin to walk up. Keep pushing with your hands. You're trying to really push down. Again, shoulders away from your ears. Walk up slowly. You can have your feet hip width to start and just let your body hang. You could even grab the elbows, and if you needed to, you could bend the knees and just let the neck release. And now we're going to slowly roll up, pull the belly in. We support the spine by pulling the belly in and curling all the way up. The shoulders roll back and down, and then the head arrives. And then we're going to step everything together for Samasatihi, standing still and straight. And now we're going to start the sun salutations. Before we do, I always practice with a set of blocks and a little towel. You could use a yoga belt. They just help me to modify here and there. Not necessary, but I always have them. So here we go. Inhale, reach the arms up. Feel the shoulders elevate, and from the back, the shoulder blades roll away from your ears. Exhale, fold. Just notice what's going on in your body today. Inhale, lengthen. And let's go ahead and take it back to a plank. And then feel this plank. Every plank works to strengthen the body, right? So really notice, are you sinking or can you push? I'm gonna come down to the knees for this push-up. So feel the body coming a little forward, the elbows drawing back a little bit, and rise up. So you should feel all the muscles in your back, maybe in your chest, in your arms. Come forward, shoulders go down and they widen. Lift the sternum, the tail is under. I'm gazing down the nose, and then take it back, downward facing dog. And breathe. Inhale, lots to think about in these sun salutations, and exhale. And just feel the length here. Inhale. Notice what's going on in your shoulders. So feel the shoulder blades. Lift them up and then roll them away from your ears. And then lift the belly, reach the heels, and let's slowly make our way up. I'm pushing down with my hands, lifting my belly, feeling how lightly I can walk up. And then fold. Inhale, lengthen, and let's rise all the way up. Reaching, and exhale, hands down. Let's do it again. Inhale, Surya Namaskar A, warming up. Exhale, fold. Keep your belly lifted here. Fold. Inhale, lengthen. Let's go ahead and take it back to plank again. Strong, supported plank. Keep that as you lower. You can gaze a little forward, elbows drawing back and a little in. Rise up. Focus on the shoulder blades here as you come forward, drawing them down and a little wide as you lift the sternum, tail under, and exhale, downward facing dog. And breathe here. Keep the lift of your belly. Inhale. Breathing into the back body as well as the front body. Inhale. And exhale. One more breath. And exhale. And then let's slowly make our way up, pushing down with the hands, lifting the belly, really lifting, light, and fold. Inhale, lengthen, pulling the belly in, reaching the arms, and exhale, hands down. Surya Namaskar B, bend the knees. I'm gonna use the blocks here. They give me nice height, and I like that. Reach the arms. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. And if you wanted to, you could lightly hop back or step back, and then feel that protraction here again. Shoulder blades widening. As you lower, they're gonna come a little closer together, but try not to collapse, and rise up. Come through, tail under, lift the sternum, and go ahead and take it back, downward facing dog. Let's step the right foot forward. We're gonna take this into a lunge. So we'll rise up, and then I want you to take the arms to this angel arm. So the elbows are down, the shoulder blades drop down, and there's a sense of width too. Now bend the back knee, and we're really gonna stretch the hips here, the front of the hips. So take that butt under, just feel that for a moment. And then from here, start to slowly straighten that leg, but keep the energy of the butt under as best you can. And then we're gonna take this angel arms, and what it does is help us to engage in the back body. So the shoulder blades are coming down and towards each other a little bit, but wide, and go back. And then reach the arms. And feel the fullness of the pose in the hips and the shoulders everywhere. Reach. And then rise up. Reach forward. Pull that right butt back. And step back. And then let's slowly lower down. Drawing the shoulder blades down. And rise. And come forward. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, downward facing dog. Let's go to the other side. Step the left foot forward. So we're rising up into a lunge. But for a moment, take the shoulders down. And even though they're coming a little bit together, you still want to get a sense of width here. Bend the back knee. Take the tail under so you feel a big stretch on the hip flexors. Keep pulling the left butt back. Then start to straighten that back leg as best you can. It can be a little bent, but keep that butt under so you feel the stretch. And then start to take this back. Feel the back body engage so the front can open. And then reach. And just take it somewhere beautiful. And then inhale, rise up. Reach forward. Take the hands down, stepping back, and then let's go ahead and lower, and rise, and coming through, big breath in, and exhale, downward facing dog, and breathe here, inhale, keeping the lift of your belly, exhale. You might notice with the blocks, you can get your heels down, maybe it's easier to get your back, more length in your back and shoulders. Breathe. One more breath. And then find a gaze point. You can either lightly hop up, or maybe you want to try really pushing down and lifting up. And fold. And then bend the knees, reach the arms, and come to stand. Let's do it again. Bend the knees, reach the arms. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. And let's go ahead and take it back, lifting up, back. And then we'll go ahead and lower. And rise. And then come through. Shoulders down, and there's a sense of width. And then exhale. Let's step the right foot forward, this time warrior one. So take the back foot down, and the hip might turn out a little, but you still try to keep that butt under and face forward, starting with the angel arms and going into reaching. Maybe you want to touch the hands, maybe not. You go where it feels good in your body. And rise up. Let's reach through a lunge. You can lift that back heel, feel the right butt pull back, and step back. And then let's go ahead and lower, and rise, and come through. Big breath in. And exhale, maybe you want to roll over the toes, maybe not, that's up to you. And then step the left foot forward, take the back foot down. If that hip turns out, that's okay. Just try to face forward though, and take the tail under. Maybe come from angel arms, and then reach. Maybe your hands want to join. Good, breathe. Inhale here, and reach. And then let's go ahead and step back, and lower, and then rise, and coming through, lifting the sternum, feeling the back engage to open the front, and exhale, downward facing dog. And pause here and notice how your downward facing dog feels now. Breathing, reaching through the arms, reaching through the heels, pulling the belly in. And now if you want to, find a gaze point and let's lightly float up, lift up, and fold. Inhale, bend the knees, reach the arms, and come to stand. Samasthiti. Let's go ahead and take the feet out, hip width. And notice for a moment, pubic bone and belly button on the same plane. Pull the belly in, really lift up through there. And then we'll come forward, finding your hip creases, hip sockets right here. Come forward and see if you can keep your back really lengthened and the legs straight. Maybe take your hands on your shins and look forward for a moment. Engage the front of the legs to stretch the back. If your butt goes back a little, that's okay, but if you take it forward, you'll feel the stretch more. From here, begin to fold in, and now it's okay if the upper spine rounds. You can even draw your chin down as you breathe, shoulders away from your ears, so breathe. Really trying to straighten the legs. One more breath. Just notice what's going on in your body today. Hamstrings. Inhale, lengthen, reach the arms, and rise all the way up. Let's take everything back to Samasthiti, standing still and straight. And now we're gonna set up for some standing poses. So I'm gonna put the block, one in the front, one in the back. You can always adjust the levels if you're using blocks. Let's go ahead. We've been doing the hips, poses with the hips facing forward. Now we're gonna open out a little bit. So what has to happen? Well, we turn the back foot in a little, so there's some internal rotation at the hip, but there's also some external rotation for support. The front leg is mostly focusing on external rotation, and you can see I'm facing this way with my body, but then I just turn my head. So I'm not leaning forward. Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2, it's a strong pose. Shoulders away from your ears, the back is engaged. Let's take this to Utthita Parsvottanasana, side angle. So we'll come into the pose. You could have your hand, I like to circle this arm because it puts the shoulder right in the right place. You could have your hand here, here, here. You could use a block, or maybe you could go to the floor, but don't sink, right? Good, breathe. Turn the right ribs to the ceiling. Maybe gaze to the left arm or the hand, whatever feels good in your body. And then we're gonna take it to Trikonasana. So we straighten the front leg. You can move your block. So it's just about under the armpit. Pull the right hip back. Now turn the right ribs up towards the ceiling and just notice what's going on in your body. Inhale, rise up. I feel a nice stretch in the front leg, side body. Let's go to the other side. So again, internal rotation going on, but some external rotation in the back leg, and then open the hip in the front. And I'm facing this way, but then I just turn my head and gaze down my fingertips. Breathe, inhale. I'm feeling a nice opening in the hips, but also some strengthening. And then we come into Parsvottanasana. The legs don't change. If you circle the arm, you can feel the shoulder blade go into the back. You could have your arm here, 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 or I'm gonna use this block. And you can turn the left ribs. Breathe. Really feel the pose where you're getting. I'm getting a nice stretch from my pinky finger to my baby toe on the right side. Then straighten, move your block. So it's just about under the armpit. Straight up with the right hand, pulling the left hip back, breathing, strong legs. Inhale, rise up. Now we'll go into Prasarita Padottanasana. So just means spread out, forward bend. So take the hands on the hips again, or the hip sockets. Start to come forward. You really want to lengthen your low back here. So get that back as long as you can. And let's take the hands to the floor in front of us. Now come into, it's like a wide-legged down dog. Reach the arms, but let your chest kind of collapse a little here. So you're really, it's not collapsing, but it's reaching towards the floor. The back body is working, and you're really trying to open the front a little. So it's a little bit of an upper back bend. You can stick your butt out, breathe, and then inhale, start to walk forward. Let's go ahead and just take the first two fingers around the big toe, yogi toe lock, and the thumb around, and lift the elbows, draw the shoulders away from the ears, and pull down. And breathe, inhale, shoulders away from your ears. See if you can find that. You can really connect into these muscles, all these muscles in here, serratus, lats, and really pull your body down. Inhale from here, look up and lengthen. Take the hands on the waist, lengthen some more, and rise all the way up. Let's come into goddess pose. So turn the feet out, and then let's take the angel arms again. So it's like the elbows are drawing down, the shoulders are going down, widening. Lift the sternum. Breathe. Try not to have your butt under. Really lengthen, lift. Open the knees, feel the external hip rotators and work, and the inner thighs stretch, the inner hips, and then rise. And from here, we're gonna turn to face this way, both hips facing the same way, and we're gonna come into a variation of Parsvottanasana. So take the hands behind the head, you can support the head here, and lift way up. Inhale. And then let's start to come forward. So you have to really pull your right butt back. Feel that right butt pulling back. And then from here, let's go ahead and take the hands down. You can use your block. And the same thing, find almost like a down dog here. You reach the upper body. Maybe some of you are in the lower one. Some of you might be able to come here and then drop your head and breathe. I'm feeling a lot of hamstrings, so that's good. That's where you want it. Breathe, and then inhale, lengthen. Let's go ahead and take the block and put it to the outside of your right ankle, and then take your hands behind your head and rise up. Because we're gonna come into Prasarita Trikonasana. So the hips are facing the same direction. Let's start by reaching the left arm up. And I like to sometimes take my right hand and my right hip socket and pull back. So I'm really trying to encourage the right side of the low back to work, and I'm pulling that right side back. Then I take the hand down. Once I establish that, then we start the twist. So you're turning the left ribs to the right. Keep the spine long and breathe, a nice twist. Breathe, and then inhale. Notice what's going on. Rise up. We'll go to the other side. So turning. Let's go ahead and take the hands behind the head. The hips are facing the same direction, forward, back foot slightly turned out. Inhale here, exhale, start to come forward. Lengthen, I'm pulling that left butt back. Just notice where you're at here. And then you could use the block, reach, 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 and then let the head draw in. And breathe, try to straighten that front leg, wherever you are. Breathing. And then inhale, a lot of hamstrings. And then I'm gonna take the block to the outside of the left foot, take the hands behind the head, feel the hips engage as you rise up. And now we'll come into Prasarita Trikonasana. Reach your right arm up. With your left hand, you can put it in your left hip socket and really focus on pulling that left hip back. Reach forward, left hip back. And then take the hand down. And then start your turn, but don't turn the low spine, right? Keep the hips squared. Turn the right ribs to the left, breathing. And then inhale, gonna rise all the way up. And let's take a big step to Samasatihi. Now we're gonna come into some standing balance poses. So I'm just going to move the blocks for a moment. And we're going to use the wall behind us. So we'll come into tree pose first, and then an open Utthita Hasta Padangustasana. So focus on the hips opening and the back working and the shoulders opening. So the right leg is going to come up into your tree pose. Feel free to lean back anytime you need to. And then let's start with the hands in prayer and just feel how this hip is opening. Open. This hip is straight and strong. Now let's find those angel arms. So from here, the back is working and you can really open, open, open. Maybe you want to touch the wall. Maybe you want to straighten the arms and touch the wall. And then from here, we start to come out of it a little bit. You can lean back anytime you need to, or you could use it. And then we come, grab the toe as best you can and lift up. And from here, we're gonna do the same thing, right? Lift up, lift up, lift up, lift up, lift up, lift up, and go where you wanna go, anywhere you wanna go. and come back. Maybe come back to tree and down. What's nice is if the wall is there, if you're feeling a little vulnerable, it's okay to have it catch you. So let's try the other side. So feel the left hip turn out. The right hip is straight and strong. And then bring your leg up. First find prayer position. I like the gaze down first, the drishti. Then find those angel arms and lift up. Lift up. Tail stays under. Keep opening the hip. Lift up. Lift up. Maybe you want to reach the arms. And then slowly start to come down. And then we'll go ahead and grab the foot. You can hold on as you do that. Reach out. Angel arm. Reaching up, reaching up, reaching up, up. And slowly coming down. Maybe coming to tree first. And we'll come to Samasthiti. Hopefully that went well, but never be afraid to use the wall. It will take you deeper. And here we go. We're going to vinyasa a little bit. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. I'm going to use the blocks. And we're just going to take it back to down dog. And just notice how your down dog feels now. Breathing. And then we're going to make our way to seated, but I'm going to do it this way, hopping up a little bit, crossing my legs, practicing my low lasana, seeing if I can find some lift, and then down. Do the best you can. And Dandasana. So Dandasana or staff pose. Just notice how you're sitting. If your pelvis tends to be back here because the hamstrings are tight, bend the knees a little bit and sit up. See if you could find that. And if that's the case, you can use your prop for Parsvottanasana. So inhale here, exhale, keep the low back lengthened, extended, and then start to fold in. So now the upper body can round, and you can draw your chin down and straighten the legs. Breathe. Breathe, shoulders away from your ears. And then inhale, lengthen. And rise up. So by focusing on the shoulder blades, you can really engage the muscles in the back to assist you to go deeper. So let's go ahead and start to open the hips a little bit more. We'll bend the right knee, and it's a Konasana. You're trying to get it's like a bow and arrow. You're pulling the knee back to the armpit. And if the pelvis is curled back here, that's okay for this one. Now we're going to take it across. And see now if you can sit up, because now we're opening the hip. We're not just flexing it, it's open. You can bend the left knee and really focus on that. So now I want you to try your best not to be rounded back, but open. Try to open that knee as best you can, opening the knee, sitting up. You should be feeling that outer hip on the right side. Nice hip opening. And then let's take this to Janushirsasana. So the right, it's head to knee pose, Janushirsasana. You want to get your foot inside of your left thigh, turn to face your left foot, and then if you needed to, you could use assistance, right? You could use your towel or yoga belt and come forward. Now you round over. Some of you are going to be able to grab maybe your right hand or your wrist, but whatever you're doing, draw the shoulders down away from your ears and then let it pull forward. So you want to feel a nice pull on that right side. Breathe, inhale. So it's all through this right side and the lats, side body. Inhale, lengthen, and you might be feeling a nice hamstring stretch as well. Let's do the other side. So the left knee bends, and this is hip flexion as we come into a Konasana. So you're really pulling the knee in this way. Your bow and arrow. Doing. And then from here, let's go ahead and open the hip out this way. Cradle a little and try to sit up, and then bend the right knee for support here. Take your hands behind and try to sit up and open that knee as best you can. I'm also pressing through the big toe mounds to give my leg a little life. It's working, and sit way up. And then from here, let's come into Janushirsasana. So here, the knees out, my foot is towards the inner right thigh. I turn and I come forward. If you had a hard time here, you could bend the knee and then lengthen the low back and come in and really try to pull on this left side. Roll the shoulder away from your ear as you do that. So you can get, or you're grabbing here or here. So you can really get this whole side all the way down and breathe, and then drop the head. Pull the belly and breathe. It's really so awesome to get the most out of every pose. Something I'm noticing as I'm aging. There's no hurry. Really taking time in my life to feel things. So we're gonna come onto the knees now. So I like to cross and then roll forward. And we're actually gonna be on the hands and knees. I'm gonna take us into Gomukhasana or cow face pose. A lot of people might have a hard time getting into this one, so I'm gonna offer some modifications as well. So to start, let's put the right knee in the middle, and we're gonna reach the left leg back. And I'm gonna ask you to try and tightly cross your legs right at the top. So really get in tight. And then we're opening the feet out. Now, some of you might have a hard time getting into the rest of this pose, but you might feel a stretch just here. But if you can go deeper, you could use a block maybe, if you got, this was it, and maybe even on the highest level, or maybe a little lower. However you can to get the knees down, or maybe you don't need the block, right? And you can come down, but using the block is fine. You might find that you can't get here, and in which case, you could have your foot here, like Ardha Matsyendrasana, or here. You could sit on your heels or do Virasana, hero's pose, but just find a place where you can sit up. And then from here, let's go ahead, and I'm gonna use my little towel here for a nice shoulder stretch. So wherever you're sitting, you could do the shoulder stretch as well. So the left arm will come up, and we're gonna roll that shoulder away from the ear and have your prop in your hand as you bend. And then you start to push this arm down. So it's a nice tricep stretch, stretching the shoulders. The other arm is gonna do the opposite. So the hand turns in this way. You reach around and see if you can find that towel and reach up. Maybe your hands touch, maybe not. You're gonna see my shoulders are different. Lift up, this is my easier side. Lift up, or I should say uninjured side. Keep lifting up, pulling the belly in, hips down. Now we're gonna take it into a forward bend. So surrender here, draw the chin down, breathe, and then inhale, rise up, and release. Just notice what's going on in the hips for a moment. Can you roll those inner thighs in? And then we're gonna come out of this and come to the other side. So to come out, just come forward. Let's come to the knees. Let's take the left knee to the center, reach the right leg back, and then try to tightly cross your legs, get in real tight. And then take your variation. Maybe you were up on the block high. Maybe you had the block here and that was working and that felt nice. You feel a good stretch, or maybe you don't need the block. And just find a moment and get in real tight and sit up for a moment. And notice what's going on in your hips. Then we add the arms. So I'm grabbing the prop with the right arm, reach up, roll the shoulder away from your ear, let it come down. You can even assist with the elbow here. Assist with the elbow. This left side in my body is healing from an injury, so you're gonna notice it's tighter, but it probably needs to be tighter as it heals. So I'm not gonna push that. I'm just gonna go to a place where it feels like it's getting a nice opening and not think about the fact that I used to be able to grab my hands here. It's okay. Lift up, and notice what's happening. Now let's take it forward. Pull the belly in, coming forward, dropping the chin, breathing, feeling your hips, feeling your shoulders. Inhale, lengthen, rising up and releasing. Taking a moment to notice what's going on in your hips. How do they feel? And then we'll go ahead and come forward onto all fours. Now we're going to play around with some Anjaneyasana variations, because Anjaneyasana really opens and strengthens the hips and the shoulders. So I'm going to use this prop for my knee on my left side. You can put your left knee on it. Come a little forward of the kneecap, not right on it, and then we'll step the right foot forward. And then from here, I want you to see if you can keep this right angle at the front leg, and don't lunge yet, just yet, but tuck your butt under on that right side. So it's a posterior pelvic tilt. The right butt is pulling back. You might feel a nice stretch there, and just bow in for a moment. Protract and bow in. And notice the strength here. Pull the belly in. Now we're going to change this pose. We're going to come into the angel arms. So draw the shoulders down. And even though they're coming together, there's a sense of widening. Keep the tail under, and we start to lunge forward. And feel how the back is working now. It's working so that the front can open. And then when you've gone to the depths you want to go, reach. And maybe you'll find more depth as you breathe. Breathe, 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 and rise. And what's beautiful about it is you don't have to push. You can just breathe and let the pose happen because it's supported. So I moved my towel and I'm putting my right knee on it, but I'm forward of the kneecap. And then from here, I'm going to work on really tucking that right butt under. It's like a posterior pelvic tilt. And I'm rounding the upper back, or a sense of protracting and pulling in as I tuck this under. And just notice what's going on. Breathe into that. And now we're going to change the pose. We're going to rise up and start to come into Anjaneyasana. So take the angel arms, shoulders down, there's a sense of width. Start to bend the front knee, but keep that tail under as best you can. Lift the sternum so the back is working so the front can open. Breathe, breathe, breathe. And when you've gone to those depths that you want to go to, reach. And maybe you'll find more if you just breathe. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Inhale, rise up. And you just go to where it feels good in your body. And then you'll find that the more you do it, probably the deeper you're going to start going. So let's come down to seated. We're going to come into Upavistha Konasana. So it's a nice hip opening, but only take it to where it feels good in your body because it can be intense. So just go as wide as feels good in your body. I'm doing it from the side, just so that you get the visual, but you could be on your mat. So from here, notice when you take your legs up, does your spine round? Or can you sit up? Maybe you need to bend the knees to do that. Try and get just that natural arch, that lift in the low back as best you can. And then from here, maybe you stay here, or maybe you start to come forward. So do the best you can. Maybe you come forward and then come up. And we'll do that again. Come forward. Really, I feel like I'm sticking my butt out. I really want to find that and come up. And like I said, it's okay if you bend the knees. And then in this one, you have an option. You can stay where you are, or maybe you want to come forward and slowly breathing, keeping the lift of your belly. And I'm breathing. I'm feeling like my back body. I'm breathing into my back. Inhale. Exhale. And just keep breathing. I'm trying to open my feet and stick my butt out. And lengthen. I had a hip injury, and that didn't feel good for a while, and I missed it. But slowly, it's healing now, and it feels wonderful to do it again. Let's go ahead and make our way down to the floor. If you have blocks, just keep them handy. We might use them. Let's do a curl back. So pull the belly in, and now the pelvis curls back. Pull way in, and we'll go all the way back. And then from here, if you have blocks, if you don't, just do it without, obviously, but if you have them, we're going to bend the knee and come into Supta Baddha Konasana. So the feet are together, and we're going to use the blocks, whatever level you need, under the knees. right? Whatever level works in your body. And what I want you to do is, I'm going to take my hands behind my head because it feels kind of nice and open, but you could have your hands out to the side. And from here, we're going to engage the muscles, the external rotators, to really lift the butt up and open the knees out. So you lift up, trying to push my knees way open, and come down. We'll do that again. Lift up, push, push, push. Feel those external rotators, and come down. It's a good hip exercise. Lift up, and come down. And then just rest here. I'm pushing my knees into the blocks, and it's kind of helping me to feel a little bit more open. Breathing, and slowly release. And then from here, let's just come into a bridge pose, but a nice easy bridge pose. So let's articulate. So take a breath in, and exhale, tuck the pelvis under. Lift up, lift as high as you can. Feel the activation in the back of the legs to open the front. Reach your arms. Breathe. You might even want to lift the heels and get more height. Make sure your neck is lengthened. It's not down, it's not up, it's long. The shoulders are reaching. Slowly curl, pull the belly in. Let your shoulders reach and stretch as you come down. Slowly. And then let's go ahead and come into our supported inversion or shoulder stand for some people. So this is nice because it gives you the benefits of an inversion without putting weight on your shoulders or your neck. So you're welcome to stay here. Find neutral, so you're not arched, you're not under, but your legs are engaged, so you have a nice stretch. Maybe you feel the reverse of the blood flow. If it's in your practice, and you want to, you can come over to Halasana or stay here, but that would be going this way. But make sure your shoulders are drawing away from your ears and your neck is long, right? Long neck. Maybe you want to come up here, but this is shoulder stand. So you want to make sure your shoulders are drawing down and wide here and the neck is long and the legs are engaged. You can stay here as long as you want and do variations. I'm just taking you through it. So you could pause the video if you needed to. Sometimes it feels good to bend the knees here. Karnapidasana, but we'll all meet here. Breathing. And from here, we'll slowly come off the block. Lift the hips up. Let's shift the hips to the left. Take the knees up, and let's take the knees over to the right. And you could, with your right hand, try and guide that left knee over a little bit and turn the right ribs, and then the shoulder goes, and then maybe your head. Breathe. Breathe, starting to slow things down. Inhale, let the legs come up. Let's go the other way. Lift the hips up, shift to the right. Take the knees up, take the knees over to the left. You could gently guide that right knee over the left, and then turn. I'm turning the left ribs to the right. Breathe. Feel that right shoulder drop down as best as it can. And then let the legs come back. And then let's find ourselves in Shavasana. You could give yourself a big hug first, and then release. And just let go. Just be in this grace of age and openings and slowing down, but going deeper into your wisdom. And you can stay here as long as you'd like, just completely free of any restraints in the body. You could pause the video, but I'm gonna go ahead and take us out. So just start to become aware of your breath. Start to move fingers and toes. And then bending the knees and finding your way into a fetal position and pausing. And then stay in this energy as you come up to seated. So just taking your time to come to seated and just notice. I always like to come back to this place where we started and notice the effects of this practice today on the body and the mind and the beauty of aging and wisdom and experience and all of these gems that come from being another year older and stay in that and let it resonate in everything you do. Namaste.